Hello guys, what's up? This is Mortaza. Welcome back to a Coder's Journey. This is the next episode of my series about promises in JavaScript. In this episode, I'm gonna talk a little bit about callbacks. Callbacks are the traditional way of writing asynchronous code in JavaScript. There are some challenges associated with using callbacks. I will also talk about these challenges in the next video. I will show you a piece of code in a JavaScript file to just make you aware of the challenges of using callbacks when it comes to writing asynchronous JavaScript code. Now let's go over using callbacks, briefly, because in this series we are going to concentrate mostly on using promises, but I think having a little bit of background on callbacks helps us better appreciate promises and the challenges that promises are trying to solve, and also the fact that using promises makes the code cleaner and more understandable. But before that, we will talk about callbacks in this video theoretically, and in the next video I will show you code that is using callbacks, and you will see for yourself the challenges associated with using callbacks for writing asynchronous code. Now, in JavaScript, a callback is a function that is passed as an argument to another function. So suppose you have a function, and as the parameter of that function, you are passing in another function, right? And it is intended to be executed after the completion of a specific task or event. So that function that you pass in as the parameter or argument to that first function is intended to get executed after something completes, after a task completes or an event happens in that first method or in your system as a whole. So callbacks play a crucial role in handling asynchronous operations in JavaScript, mainly before the arrival of promises. So basically, callbacks help us to invoke a function, right, within another function. So you have an outer function, if you will, as a parameter. That function is receiving another function, as a parameter, as an argument, and within that outer function, you are invoking that function. We will talk about, a piece of code in the next video. You will see for yourself how callbacks are, used. JavaScript, as I have told you, is single-threaded. So it means that only one operation is executed at a time. However, in web development, we need to do some tasks that take a lot of time. For example, we want to fetch some data from a backend server. We want to read the contents of a file, right? So these operations that take a lot of time to complete, they are long-running processes. They are good candidates to be, conducted asynchronously. Means that you do not wait for the operation to complete. You invoke that operation, and then you can go on and do something else. And when that operation completes, you will get notified about the completion of that first operation, and then you can go and handle the result, right? So in JavaScript, one of the ways to write asynchronous code is using callbacks, right? So using callbacks, we can ensure that a certain piece of code is executed only after some specific asynchronous operation completes. So we can handle, the result of a specific asynchronous operation using callbacks. In the early days of JavaScript, callbacks were the primary mechanism for handling asynchronous code, right? Before the arrival of async await, which we will talk about in this series, or promises. While using callbacks is possible, when you write callbacks, when you use callbacks in your JavaScript code, chances are that your code will become unmaintainable and very difficult to understand, and something will happen which we sometimes call callback hell, or the pyramid of doom, which we will talk about and we will see an example of in the next video. Basically, the callback hell, or the pyramid of doom, means that you have a lot of indentation, right, in your code, and when the levels of indentation increases in a piece of code, that code becomes, difficult to understand. It becomes very error prone. It becomes unmaintainable, and chances are that you will introduce, a bug or an error unintentionally in that piece of code. And of course, it becomes very ugly, right? So in my clean code series about clean coding and writing clean code, you can, by the way, watch the videos on my channel. In that series, I have used C# to talk about the clean code and clean coding principles. I have talked about the fact that we need to reduce the levels of indentation in our code bases, right? Because the more indented your code is, the harder it is to understand. And callbacks, using callbacks in JavaScript, makes those level of indentation, it increases those levels of indentation, and it makes your code very difficult to understand. But using promises and async await, as we will see in this series, will get rid of this problem, and it will make your code very easy to understand, very maintainable. We will see the examples of these as we go along. Now let's end this video here, because in the next video I want to take you to Visual Studio Code, and I want to get you familiar with this callback hell, the pyramid of doom, and with the different ways of writing callback methods. Now, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, please make sure you do. Also, give this video a like if you enjoyed watching it, and stay tuned for the next upload, where I will take you to Visual Studio Code, and I will teach you about using callbacks in JavaScript.